Hello there, average gamers. This is just going to be a quick video of talking about what's been going on. So, some personal things have come up, and that's kind of why I've been out of the game, if you will, for quite some time. I've also had to play around with OBS. Because exciting news, I do have a VR, an Index, to be quite honest. And I've been playing around with that. It's been a lot of fun, but just trying to figure out how to get some cool videos maybe with the VR going. Yeah, so content will be coming back. I just kind of had to take a pause for things that have been going on personally and professionally. So nothing major, nothing bad, but did have to kind of step away for a little bit. Um, but I do plan to start uploading a little more regularly. Um, Hopefully, the job's not going to take too much out of me. With things coming up being nicer, if you will, we're looking at some decent weather. Um, so yeah, that's it. That's it. Just wanted to do kind of a quick video. This is Stolen Realm, by the way, which I probably will make a video on this because it is an early access game. But man, it's pretty good. I have another game very similar. It's called For the King. I don't know if it's the same creators. I'm not 100% on that, but they are both really fun. But with For the King, you only had a 3-player party, but you could have 3 players, which was super cool. And this one is a 6-player party, which is extremely cool as well. But it's done in a different style, if you will, and but it's still really fun. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know how to describe it. But it's kind of like it's a turn-based hexel movement RPG, if you will. But so far, everything that I've seen from this game, including the multiplayer, which has a little bit of bugs, but they've been doing better to get it there. I'm hoping, though, that this game will eventually add a larger class system, because at the moment there are four. I'm sorry, there's 4. You have your typical warrior, you have a mage, you have a rogue, and a ranger, I believe. But the mage can be played as like 4 different subclasses, kind of. There's a fire, a lightning, and ice, and then healing is oriented with the mage as well. So I would like to see this game add more classes. I don't know what they would add, but it would still be very cool to see, because I think a mage having to be split into 4 different type of categories, if you will, is just not that cool. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually forgetting another one. There's a necromancer as well, which I believe is still associated with the mage. So there's 5 subclasses with that, and I don't know. I think they should break that up, and or just add some sort of different class styles. But it's still a really good game. Like, I still recommend it to most people. Because, again, it's a lot of fun, and you can play with friends. And just because there's a party of 6 doesn't mean you need to have 6 players. You could still play with 2 and just control the party separately, or just create 2 characters, because I'm coming to find out that the difficulty, if you will, is somewhat associated to the party size, too. And I have a game going. It's an easier difficulty. But honestly, it's starting to get a little more challenging. Things are starting to have more health and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I think this game has a lot of potential. I'd like to see them to continue make more content with it. And eventually I will also make a content video probably around this game. And I know that I have not finished the Elden Ring, which I know the hype is kind of probably really low now about that game, or maybe it's not, I don't really know. And I will get back to it. I will finish it because that's kind of my plan. I would like to finish it. I'm not going to tell you any sort of schedule that I have going on with trying to create content or anything like that because I just can't promise anything. But I do have goals, to get the Elden Ring series done. Maybe to continue on with my Might and Magic as well. I've also started to dabble in some of the emulator style things out there. Because I'm a big nostalgia gamer. I am. I have a lot of older games that I really like to play. And I finally found something that will run Super Mario RPG, a Super Nintendo game, that I absolutely love. Now, however, there is this new mod out there that's called Armageddon, and it makes things extremely difficult. And I will not lie, I am an average gamer. I'm just being honest with myself. But I'm making some decent progress with that. I know, though, that it will get more challenging because I went with the harder difficulty rather than the easy difficulty. So it's called Armageddon, and it's harder than the base game originally, but they have it broken down into something that is hard and then something that is like what would be considered impossible. I mean, that's probably not the best way to describe it because it's not impossible. Obviously, people are out there still doing it, but it is a nice, refreshing challenge to the game that I loved for so long. And they did some very cool things with it that, of course, again, eventually I will start a series with that because I really, really do enjoy that game. So that's just kind of some of the things that I have been going on with. Again, if anybody actually watches this video, I would really like to see people put in some sort of comments about maybe some VR games that I can play. I have not dabbled too hard into the VR because I'm just going to be blatantly honest here. I wear glasses, and most VR kits are not glasses friendly, if you will. So I have to wear my contacts, and I haven't worn them in a very long time. So I can only wear them in kind of shorter spurts. But some of the list of games that I have there is I do have Skyrim VR. I just picked that up. It's on sale currently for this weekend if I decide to load this up. I think it's till like May 30th. So if anybody's out there kind of dabbling with the idea of maybe wanting to get that, it's on a pretty good sale on Steam. From there, I have Pavlov VR, which I got because a lot of people told me that it has a ton of modding capability with it, which I'd love to try. Again, I don't mind doing that. However, when it comes to Oculus exclusive games, I know there are ways to put them on your index. Well, through Steam or however you want to put that. I don't understand that much because I haven't dabbled with it. Maybe at some point I will play with that because there's a couple exclusive Oculus games that I am very interested in. And then from there, I have some, I think it's the Serious Sam series in VR. I have Phasmophobia. I've had that for a really long time, which again, I really do want to make a video on it at some point. And if I do, it'll probably be with the VR because it is a very, very different experience with VR. I'm just going to give you a quick scenario of what happened when I had tried it. I'm still getting used to the grip controls of the game. So me and my buddies, of course, went to try and figure out what it was. We were having a hard time finding it. Because we were taking so long, I decided to hunt. I, of course, decided to run, and I managed to hide behind some sort of boxes, I think. And I thought I just turned off my flashlight. It turns out that I had dropped my flashlight. So now it's like pitch black in a room, and I can't see anything. And of course, clearly we're going to keep getting hunted. So I am literally looking around trying to pick up my flashlight to see if I can even find it. and I am grabbing shoes, I'm grabbing like all sorts of different things, but not my flashlight. So this is kind of why I haven't put anything into a video for the VR, is because I'm still getting very, very used to it. I haven't played much with VR. I love it though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's super cool. I really enjoy actually playing it. And in some cases, I may have to like legit sit down and try playing games that way. But I think that takes away from it in a sense. I also do have Half-Life Alyx, which I know it doesn't do justice to see videos on it in some cases, but it's just gorgeous. It is so much different than even Half-Life 2. Like, they put so much work into it. As far as Valve goes, when they actually make games, they are rather revolutionary. You know, like, a lot of the stuff that they do definitely makes, like, way ahead of most people as far as the gaming industry goes. And I don't know how to explain it other than that. You know, some people are going to have different opinions, and I'm cool with that. But I will just throw some examples. Okay, these are just small examples. Because I'm thinking back to some of their original games, and even the original Half-Life, which some people will say is just not that good. Okay, that might be true, but the moment that they came out with a source version, that changed so much for everybody. Okay, so because there was a sourced version of that game, people could take it, pull it apart, and make other games. And that's how we got things like Team Fortress. That's how we got Left 4 Dead. That's how we got Counter-Strike. I mean, these are all literally games that were built off of their source engine and their exact template, you know. And then they went on to continue with that concept, you know. They continued to make those games and then just make them better. They were one of the first, if not the first, to really have that option. You know, before big modding was available, they were okay with people picking apart their game and making other things, as long as they couldn't make money off of it without going through Valve first. And again, I think they did that with a couple games. You know, like Half-Life had a couple quote expansions, and I'm not sure if 100% of those were actually made by Valve. They may have been approved by Valve, like, I can't even remember all of them. There's one where you play as the military guy. There's one where you play as Barney, the security guard. You know, like, they did a lot for the gaming industry. Whether people want to agree or not, I'm just going to say it. They really, really did. And there's a huge difference between Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2, and now what is called Back 4 Blood. They don't even really compare, because Left 4 Dead 2 still outshines them in a lot of ways. And that just blows my mind, because it's such an older game. And with the technologies that we have, you would think these newer ones would be doing leaps and bounds over it. But I'm sorry, like, Back 4 Blood I still think is a semi-fun game, but it is definitely not even close to what Left 4 Dead 2 was. I am kind of ranting, but that's kind of what the point is of some of this video, is just to kind of go into detail about what is coming, and what I would like to have people say, or you know, to see what they think about what I'm going to do. But until I actually get like any sort of feedback, I'm just gonna again do what I want when I want. But I would like to have some people actually make some sort of comment. You know, if the VR is what people think would be really cool, I think I have it set up finally within the OBS to capture VR, and it may not look amazing because I think you can only capture one of the eyes, but you should still get the general idea and see what I see, and I don't know, I think that'll be a really cool thing. I will have to, of course, actually try to make a video out of it, and see how well that does. Otherwise, you know, let's see, I've got a handful of new games that I had just purchased. Some of them were early access. I'm interested in checking out some of these things. I should be hearing word here soon-ish about the Steam Deck that I have reserved forever ago, which, if anybody hears this, that already did that too, they would understand what I'm talking about. It may be a while, but I'm hoping it's not too far, because I really do want to get my hands on it. Of course, I have a decent laptop, whatever. I don't remember what I actually said, I'm sorry. But I still think that the idea of having a PC in your hand like that is just really cool, and I don't dislike the Switch, because it actually is the same thing. It actually has a really cool concept and features, but the Switch can be both, With the Steam Deck, I feel like it's the same thing, just kind of different. Like the dock hasn't come out yet, but it'll put that same feel, and to me, that's wonderful. Like, I like the idea of being able to take things with me and not have to completely unpack my, unplug my computer setup and then have to set it back up somewhere wherever I'm at. But I don't know. These are just thoughts. These are just ideas. Let me see. What other kind of games do I have? I have to look. Oh, I had been before, of course. Oh, okay. See, I'm stupid. I'm literally talking about this game, The Stolen Realm, and how they're going to add more classes. Well, it looks like they have a monk class coming here real soon, and I can't wait to play that. I really like Baldur's Gate 3, and I would really like to play more of that. Unfortunately, the way that they keep resetting their game and things like that, I've had to put it on a pause, but I will get back to it at some point. I will play this again. Because I think the Baldur's Gate 3 and the Divinity Original Sin creators they're just fantastic. They are amazing RPG games, and it's just because they have it in an early access state, and the way that a certain thing happened, to the entire world, it put them in a weird spot in how they were going to build this game, and they've been doing it in remote cells, and it's actually extremely impressive. But I do have to be honest that it has put me off of the game, because every time I play it and they do a new update to it, it changes the game. They wipe your saves, and you have to start over. It's only the first act anyway, but I'm sorry. There's actually a lot to that game, and I don't like the idea of resetting and restarting all the time to change something or try something new. So, but once the game fully releases, which I don't know, I thought I saw somewhere that they were talking about getting that out this year. And if that's the case, then that's awesome. I would gladly do that. A couple of my friends have been starting to play things like GTFO. I would really like to make some videos on that too, because that's one of those all four, me and the three others can play, and it's extremely recommended. Just throwing that out there. I like the game. I will play the game, and I'll probably have a video on that when, of course, all of us can get together and actually play it. But that's kind of the hard part, is doing that. So as far as my VR games go, I do have Blade and Sorcery, which at least in its current state, I feel like is more of a VR tutorial. I know that might sound bad, and I know that some people may disagree, but like there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do, and I will try to play it and try to get through it, to where I can actually do some of those cool things. But I think with having Elder Scrolls, to have Skyrim as VR, I think that might be a little better. I know that it's even the reviews state it. It's not a good game until you can, mod it, until you get, all the good stuff in there. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. They usually just release games not so well that usually the community will come in and typically fix some of those issues. Let's see. Oh, I have The Forest, which I liked as a game, but it was kind of already ruined for me, so that's why I haven't really played it since a long time. So I'm probably going to wait until the next one comes out before I really dive into that. But it being that it's a VR game, that could be extremely cool. I really don't know. I do have Alex, of course, which I've already talked about. And I'm definitely going to do some sort of videos on that because it's just... I can't even stress enough that it's just so cool. It really, really is. Let's see. It came with the lab. The index came with the lab, which I may still do some sort of video on. Because it's just really cool, but it's just like campy. Like there's nothing... It's not like an actual game. There's not a shitload as far as story goes. There's none of that. It's just kind of fun. Like there's just some silly things in there. Let's see, what else do I have? You have the Serious Sam. Ooh, I have Super Hot VR now. I liked Super Hot as a game in the first place. I don't know how much VR is really going to change the actual gameplay of it. Obviously it's VR and of motion controls and stuff like that. I just meant like the story to it was already like... I've already played that. So if there's a completely different story to it, that would be super, super cool. I also have the Talos Principle VR, which I know what the concept of that... it's a puzzle style game. And I know that would be really cool, I think, to experience in a VR. So I'm probably going to do that. I don't remember if I actually said this, but I was in a big Final Fantasy kick. Because I have, I believe, like all of them, except for 13. I'm going to be honest. I don't like 13. And that's my personal opinion, and I know most people will not like me saying that, because to some it's their favorite, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Every game plays differently throughout that series, and that's why I was on a big kick. And I kind of wanted to just do more or less like a review video of that. I can do kind of part of that right now, but it's not going to be the same. All it's really going to say is every game plays differently. The first game was like extremely different to most games. It had a class system, and you kind of just get stuck with that. Like that was just what it was. It had very little grinding to it, as far as I remember. And the story of it is just... I think it's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Like, the story, even though it was the first one, and it's a little campy and a little, weird, but I thought it was a very good game. Final Fantasy 2, good game as well. I would have to say, though, that one is the one that I don't like that much. The reason being is, if I remember correctly, you play as... It's a party of 4, but 3 of the characters are main characters. The 4th one is cycled in and out until the end of the game, and by then it really doesn't matter. You build your characters however you want them, because in order to get them stronger is like leveling by using type of thing. So needless to say, that a majority of that game, I never used magic because, mana points just, it was just too much of a pain. It took me a while to actually get up, but I did at some point do it. And I did beat it. Story I didn't dislike, but the gameplay turned me off so much. Like, there was actually a lot of grinding in order to get the character the way you wanted, you know? And I don't know. That just, it didn't sit that well with me. I'm not just, I don't know any other way to put it, you know? Let's see. 3. Ah, yes. 3, I think, was the one. Maybe it's 4. Yes. Okay. 3 was not nearly as bad. I'd have to say that it was the same as 1, but it had a way for you to change jobs on the fly instead of just classes, however you want to describe it. 3 had classes slash jobs that you could change out on the fly. And in a lot of cases, in certain cases, you had to for certain things, and that was a little, not cool. But other than that, that one's a decent game too. Like, it had an okay story, and it really it didn't feel super grindy, because you switching out to the jobs on the fly just meant that you could do that if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. You know, I take that back. I mean, there were certain times where you had to, but like, because you put so much time into being, I don't know, let's just say a knight, and then you switched over to being a dark knight. Like, you weren't as good, but you weren't nearly as bad either. Because you already had the knight going on. Those are just general examples. Decent game. Another one that I recommend the most. 4 is I believe, the first one that did not do classes or jobs. It instead went with characters were already set to whatever job or style of gameplay that they were. So that's not a bad one. It's more of what people think of now when they think of the Final Fantasy games. So I'd have to say that's a good one. Has a really good story. Probably one of the better ones. And if I remember perfectly honestly, it's the first one that actually got a continuation. How do I put this? Not like a continuation, but yeah, it might have been the first one that had a continuation. It's called the After Years. Most times the Final Fantasy games never got like a sequel or so on. So if I remember right, and I'm not 100% on this one, it's the first one that did. And so that's like actually kind of cool that they recognized that one was one of their majorly liked ones, that they decided to make another one. Let's see here. We got 5, which I have not beaten. I've only started. But I can tell you that officially, from 1 through 5, it usually referenced the elemental crystals. Well, in 5, they are destroyed. So I'm almost positive that 5 is the last time that they really talked about them and what they represented to the world that they built. 6 is absolutely my personal favorite. Okay, I'm being 100% here. I'm not. It's hard for me to review this one because this one's my favorite. The biggest complaint that most people can say about this game is that there's too many characters. I can 100% see that. I do see that as a really valid reason to not like this game. Because it's 4, so it has the characters that are already classed essentially to what they were made. But unlike 4, where there's only 4, maybe 5, like they rotate some characters in there, but there's usually only about 4 characters that you're ever using, and you pretty much just like they're always the same, sort of. But with 6, Like, each character has some special ability or something that makes them different. And then when it comes to the magic and summons, that's their Esper system, which is very different than the others. But I didn't hate it. I do agree that too many characters can be a bit rough. 6 also has a lot of grinding once you get to a certain point. And that, again, I kind of get why people are a little mad about that. But to me, this story of 6 is absolutely the best. And the reason I say that is because, at least from my age group, a lot of people's favorite is 7. Okay, and I will talk about the differences of them when I start to get to 7. But 6 is a very long game, and it actually pushed the limits, in my personal opinion, of the Super Nintendo, which it would have been referenced as 3. But it's definitely a really good game. Yeah, I don't even know how else to say it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story. I just liked the game, you know. And sue me. It's my favorite Final Fantasy. Maybe not everybody's, but it's mine. All right, we're gonna move on to Final Fantasy VII. So with 7, it's same similar concept with each character is built, as a class style, and that's just what they are. However, this one's magic system, if you will, is referenced as materia. So this one is something that gets put into your weapons. Everybody's has a different style, different type, whatever. And each weapon has different slots, which allows you to either connect them together or, however you want to put that. This one has summon materia, so it's got concepts from 6, but it is different. It's definitely different. I think the gameplay for 7 and 6 are really good. But the story for 7 is not. I'm sorry. It just isn't. The main concept of Final Fantasy VII is that there is a person out there who's trying to... He essentially is trying to ascend to be a god. Like thing. But in 6... the main villain succeeds. He becomes a god. Like, he becomes a thing that is just way ridiculous. Now, I know 7 tried to do something similar, but it just wasn't the same. It has some good points and it has some bad points. This is definitely still high on my list as far as the Final Fantasy games go that I've played. But that's definitely... I don't know. Between 6 and 7, 6 is still by far, in my opinion, better. It's just my opinion. I do not have 8, nor have I ever played 8, and I've heard nothing but that it's bad. Of course, I'm going to get it, and I'm going to play it, so I can put my own opinion on it. But I don't have anything to say about 8 at the moment. I just don't. 7, or 9, I'm sorry, we're moving on to 9. I haven't played 9 either. I haven't played it, but just looking at it, it was by far the last old style, if you will. I believe this one has a job system or a class system, and they're pretty iconic to what they used to be. Black Mage and so on and so forth. I don't know. I'll update. I will give a full actual review of all the games when I have played them all, but for now, that's all I got. 12, I believe, is the last turn-based... Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's 10 and 10-2. I have not played 10-2, but I will tell you that I have played 10. 10 is really good. This one has a change in it that allows that your summons, you actually become in control. This one also has a very interesting way of going about its level up system. Everyone does still have a class, if you will, but once you get to a certain point, you can actually move into other people's classes and learn their abilities as well. So this one's a little more freeform, but at the same token, not so much. The story of it is really good. It actually has me I'm not gonna spoil anything with that one because it's actually supposedly a twist ending, but it's a really good game. It plays well. It looks pretty good. And yeah, I believe it's long too. Like it actually pushes some of the limit of what the PlayStation 2 can handle at the time. I don't know about X2 because again, I know the concept of it, but that's kind of a little bit ruining what 10 is. And I'm not going to do that. So all I'm just going to say is that one's a pretty good game. That one's definitely high on my list as well. But I wouldn't know. 11 is online. I have not played much of it, but it's definitely an older style online game. Probably a little more associated with... how do I put this? Kind of like an older EverQuest or something like that. You know, like it's got its charm. It does have a class/job system, but it's not one that I ever really played. And now that it's way farther in their online gaming series, I can't do it. I can't give it a try. I just can't. 12. I have not played 12, but like I said, I believe that 12 is the last of the turn-based combat, but I could be wrong. This one might be their first free-form combat. They basically got away from their turn-based, and that's not cool. I'm going to be honest. Like, that was the main reason I'd played a majority of their games, is because of the turn-based system. And once they moved into freeform, there were some that were good and some that were bad. I don't know. 12, if it's the first one, then it's a gamble on if it's really that good or not. I'll give it a try, because it seems like it's a decent story. Not that I know a ton about it, but it seems like it's a decent story. 13 supposedly did super well, and that's why they made 13 its sequel and a sequel after that. The general concept of it, I do understand, but the gameplay turned me off so bad. It's another freeform action combat that I hated. I legit hated. I couldn't get past a certain point. That's how bad it was. I don't know if it's because I'm just terrible or if I'm not. I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like that combat style, so I couldn't get past it. But essentially, the story is pretty solid. I don't know the full details of it, but I know it has something to do with basically challenging death, and then she wins, and then more or less becomes it. It's something along those lines. And I know that's probably butchering it, but that was the general concept. And so, like, the story sounded wonderful, but I can't play the game. It's so not good. We'll move into 14. 14 is an online game, which I have already made some videos on, and it's really fun. It actually is a fun game. It's by far probably the best MMO I've ever played. Being a new player, it's a little rough because you're so far behind, and it is a story-driven game. And so unless you're going to pay a bunch of money to skip stuff, you're kind of screwed into just, you have to play through it. But the good news is that even people that are at higher levels, it rewards them for still trying to queue in for some of the older stuff. So you're never left out of the loop, even if you're a new player. It might take you a little longer to get into some queues, but it's not going to be that bad. And at least as far as some of these newer expansions, they've actually allowed it to where you don't even need a party. You can just bring in, quote, NPCs to fill those roles. That's kind of cool. That's actually really cool. If you just want to speed through it, you don't have to wait for any queues or anything like that. The downside, though, is that your loot is not going to be guaranteed to you. So you might get something that's just kind of stupid, or you might get less loot, things like that. But the reason I say that's one of my favorites is because you don't need to make that many. Like, you can make one character on one server, and you can play every single job/class that there is in the game. You don't have to restart a character to play something different. You can play everything, and I mean that for everything. So even when it comes to the crafting, you can do all of the crafting. You don't have to pick two, stuff like that, like some of the other games have ever done. You can do everything with one character. And I think that's so cool because, again, if I had a new friend that was coming in, I could still help them and just be on a different job, just trying something different. Like, I don't know. I don't know. If you're the type of person that doesn't like to get stuck to one thing, meaning that you're playing this character and you like it, but, like, what about this character? And you don't want to put a bunch of time and all this other stuff. This is the game for you. You can switch throughout the game to play something different. If you like being melee or ranged or caster or healer or tank, like if you just like doing a bunch of different things, I'm telling you, this is absolutely the game. There is 15. That is another freeform game that, again, a lot of people have told me I need to try. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it because of the thing that I know about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It is another freeform action combat set, and of course Final Fantasy VII, it's a little bit of a reimagining / retelling, but that freeform action combat is actually not bad. It's something I can tolerate. So if it's very similar to that, I'll probably do 15 as well. I disagree with 15's DLC method. That's just me, but it doesn't matter. I'll give it a try. I've heard it's still a really good game, and it has a decent story. Now it comes one other game. I don't know about the Type 0 and all this other stuff. I don't know anything about those. But I will tell you, I did pick up Stranger in Paradise. It is a Final Fantasy game as well. Now, if you don't want to have any sort of spoiler at all, now's the time to just go away. Okay. Stranger in Paradise is actually a prequel to Final Fantasy 1. Final Fantasy 1 is all about you trying to find Chaos and to beat him. But Final Fantasy 1 gets really strange because you actually find Chaos essentially, or Garland, or whatever his name is, right away, and he's actually weak, and that's confusing. Until you keep playing through the game, then you realize that he actually already won, essentially. Like, he won, he did what he was trying to do, kind of. You, as the heroes, go through to collect, of course, you have the different crystals. You're supposed to be the heroes of light in the first Final Fantasy. In Stranger in Paradise, you're also still a group of 4, and you have crystals to which you think you are also the heroes of light. But unfortunately, that's not true. Those, for some reason, those crystals are dark, but they do still resonate. So I can understand that. Final Fantasy 1, you do go back into the past when Garland or whatever actually manifests and becomes Chaos. And then you beat him back and you win. In Stranger in Paradise, I haven't gotten all the way through it, but I do know the ending of it. It actually turns out that your group is not the heroes of light. Instead, you guys are essentially the heroes of chaos. In order for chaos to actually exist / be beaten back, someone has to take on the role of it. And that's actually what Stranger in Paradise is about. Now, you guys, the characters in Stranger in Paradise are not exactly heartwarming, but they don't do bad things. They aren't intentionally trying to do bad things. How do I put that's probably a better way to put it. There actually are bad characters that you come across, then you fight them, and you beat them back, and things like that. But for some reason, at the end of the game, which I'll have a little more detail when I actually keep playing through it, for whatever reason, whoever the main character it is that you're actually playing, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, I just can't. again takes on the mantle of Garland and becomes Chaos. And yet they were always so gung-ho about trying to defeat Chaos. But I'm hoping that that's what they do. They realize that that's the only way that they can defeat it, is if somebody actually becomes it / takes it on. So, I don't know. It's really good. They really make you think that it's just a Final Fantasy 1 remake. They really do a decent job of... I mean, I'm talking shot for shot in some cases that they had before. You legit... looking over, you're on like the little hill or whatever, looking over to the city, and there's the sun rising. Like they did all of that. Like they do an amazing job of thinking, making you think that it's just one, but just kind of told differently. But it's not. It's not one. It's before one. You are not the heroes of light. You're actually more or less the heroes of darkness. It's because you are not a bad person. You do good things. You're trying to help everybody out. You're trying to find Chaos and beat him back. Like that was literally the entire goal of Stranger in Paradise. But if I remember correctly, you get to the end of it only to find out that Chaos is not around. Someone has to beat it for it to be a thing. Could be wrong on that, but I'm telling you though, at least from what I've seen and the basis of it, like that's what it is, and that's not, it's super cool. The gameplay is free form action combat. I know, still not like a giant fan of that, but they do that one pretty well, and it can be pretty difficult from time to time, like just the way that they did it. But I will say that the way that you do their classes and unlock them and things like that can be a little annoying. And then even trying to like flop between them, I don't know. I know that Stranger in Paradise can actually be played with multiple people. And I guess if you were to play that way, it probably would be better. But at least playing solo, there's only one character that you actually can change what his classes are. And then from there, your partners, companions, whatever, they just change to another. Like they only have 2, whereas the character you're playing can do all of them if he wanted, but he can only switch between 2. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Good game though. I do recommend it. Let's see how we doing in this video. Wow, I've just been kind of ranting for some time now, haven't I? I think I'm gonna probably wrap it up here. As I stated, I've got a couple other games that I'm looking into, making some videos, doing some just stuff, It's not about just picking the stuff that's hot or the stuff that's like new and exciting, because quite frankly, as I've seen some other YouTubers, man, like they don't always go for good games. Sometimes they're literally outlandish and just whatever, And I have a couple of those, and I don't know, I want to get more of the other average gamers involved with this, but we all have different time schedules, and that makes it a little more difficult. But again, I'll make content. So far, I mean, I'm the only one of my friends that have a VR, so that's probably what I'll try to focus on. And then try to pressure into finishing out Elden Ring. Maybe do some Dying Light 2, which is a big maybe. Because I've had fun with that game, just kind of like just playing it. That's just me. But just letting you know, just kind of updating everybody, telling everybody what we've been doing, what I've been up to, why I've been up to what I've been doing, and I'm not going to go into full detail about my personal life or anything like that, but again, everything is fine. Nothing is wrong. It's just been kind of like, I don't know, I've just been trying to get through it, if you will, and I think I'm there. I think I'm right on the horizon of it, and things are going to change, and hopefully I don't know, hopefully we can have more content coming out, and you guys don't just stare at my screen and listen to me rant or talk or whatever. But I appreciate everybody that actually watches this, and if anybody comments, then I'll be kind of actually surprised and shocked and might actually listen. I don't know. But hopefully, yeah, here soon we're going to have some more content with some of the VR stuff. I do plan to make some videos on, games like this, playing some games with my friends, with the other average gamers, if you will. I also plan to do some of, like I said, that NES or the Super Nintendo mods and do some of that Super Mario RPG, maybe. Maybe just start looking into some hacks, ROMs, whatever. Trying to play some fun, entertaining stuff that I really enjoy. And I hope you guys will enjoy it too. And yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, right? But for now, I'm just gonna close out this video. I hope everybody, does what they're gonna do, and I will see everyone else in the next video, whatever that is. Okay, so stick with me here. We're gonna get this going. You guys have a good day, night, whatever. Bye.